Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we will start with chapter 7 supplement. That's why we call it chapter 7S. As you all know, we had finished last lecture chapter 7 process strategy. Today we will start with our chapter 7S, which is capacity and constraint management. If before we go further, I would like you to look at your outline always before you start. You can look at it by yourself. We will discuss, of course, the capacity types and concepts, capacity utilization and efficiency, capacity and strategy, capacity consideration, and so on. So you continue with this outline by yourself. And of course, you have at the end, after studying this material and listening to the video related to this chapter, I want you to evaluate yourself based on these learning outcome statements, or what we call the intended learning outcomes of this chapter. So let's start with the capacity definition. As a definition, what is capacity? If I ask some of you now, what is the capacity of Bitra University? For example, you know, not all universities are in the same size, isn't it? Okay, so the difference in numbers of students will between universities will depend on their capacity. So according to your capacity اللي بنسميها الطاقة، طاقتك الإنتاجية. According to your capacity, for example, at university, you will accept more students, of course, with the permission of the the Ministry of Higher Education. Okay, so in general, capacity is the throughput, or the number of units, or your stores, or let's say when we say storage, your storage or your warehouses, or the number of units that you can produce in a certain time. This is your capacity. Again, capacity is very important. Why? Because it will determine your fixed cost, which means now larger university in size, of course, in terms of land, buildings, labs, lecture rooms, facilities, and so on, will of course have more capacity to accept students. So capacity is related to the number of your employees, your personnel, I mean in general, if you are a manufacturing company, your equipment, your machines, your plants, your facilities, how large is it? That's why some companies, when they grow up, they said we need to expand our capacity. إنه بدنا نرفع الطاقة الإنتاجية إلنا، بدنا نضيف مصانع جديدة، بدنا نتوسع أكثر. We need to buy more advanced equipment in terms of technology, and so on. That's why capacity will determine your fixed cost, because what I have said, if you want to make your company larger in terms of personal equipment and buildings and so on, so you need more fixed cost. Okay, that's why with the capacity size, let's say, the capacity size will determine the fixed cost of any company. The capacity also will determine if demand will be satisfied or not. Now, sometimes, why do you need as a company to increase your capacity? In order to meet demand, especially if you have more demand and your capacity is not enough to produce the needed demand, then you are going to think of expanding your capacity in terms of, as I told you, buildings, equipments, and personnel, in order to be able to meet or to satisfy the demands of the market if it's higher than, if it exceeds your, let's say, capacity. Okay, there are 3 time horizon as the planning also for capacity, which is the long range planning, intermediate planning or medium planning, and short range planning. Now, with accordance to those three time horizon of planning, there are options for adjusting capacity. Now, some company they will choose to expand their capacity in terms of modifying the current capacity, or in terms of using the current capacity without any modification. Okay, for example, in long range planning, for example, some companies will they have the option of adding facilities, adding new plants, مصانع جديدة, or add long lead time equipment, for example, in order to expand their capacity. This is on the level of long range planning, but in an intermediate planning, the options of adjusting or for adjusting capacity are subcontracts, and sometimes you outsource some of the activities that you are doing at your company, and instead of expanding capacity, you will make up a subcontract as an outsource in order to let somebody else to supply with the necessary materials, let's say, in order to meet your demand. Or sometimes you will think on the intermediate level of planning to add equipment or add shifts. Okay, now all of these options here, it's considered as modifying your capacity because it will really modify the current capacity. Now the options here on the middle level or in the mid range planning and on the short range planning, it is related to only reuse your capacity or reallocate, let's say, your personnel or reallocate your machinery in order to meet demand, especially if demand is increasing. So instead of adding, let's say, or modifying your capacity, you will just use your capacity in an efficient way, like add personnel, let's say, to some departments, let's say, to for example, transfer some personnel from marketing to manufacturing department in order to increase the production and so on, or build or use your inventory. Okay, maybe you can depend on the larger size of inventory. Maybe you can order your material in small lot sizes or in large lot sizes, depending on the sizes of your warehouses. And you have also in the short range planning, in the short range level planning, you have also three options. You can schedule jobs, okay, reschedule your jobs, or you can schedule personnel in terms of shifts, let's say, like in hospitals. Instead of having a 2 shift, maybe you can have 3 shifts or whatever. Especially also in manufacturing company, you can add, if you have only 2 shifts a day, you can make it 3 shifts so that you can work 24 hours in order to expand your capacity by using the same equipment, the same personnel, the same buildings that you have without adding any new, let's say, resources. Or you can allocate your machinery. Okay, now design and effective capacity. Now please focus with me. If you will focus and concentrate with me, you will find things easy. We have 2 types of capacity here: design capacity and effective capacity. What is the difference between the two? Design capacity, it is the maximum theoretical output of your system as a company, the maximum theoretical. Okay, but under what? Under, let's say, what we call ideal conditions. Okay, sometimes or normally it's expressed as a rate, this capacity, and as an average when we talk about it as a rate. Now effective capacity, it's different from design capacity by that it is the capacity that the company is actually expected to achieve. Okay, of course, under certain constraints, especially constraints that is related to the operation. Okay, your operation. I want you to take note here. Often, effective capacity, often, most of the time, okay, is lower than design capacity. I want to give you example now to differentiate between design capacity and effective capacity. We know already the definition, but listen to me carefully. Your university, Petra University, for example, the design capacity of Petra University is to accommodate, okay, يعني by buildings and land and labs they have, lecture rooms and so on. The design capacity for Petra University is 10,000 students. To accept, can accommodate 10,000 students. But the effective capacity is only 8,000 students or 7,000 students, for example. So you see, the university was designed in terms of capacity in order to be able to accommodate 10,000, but what you really have, what the university really expect to achieve is only 8,000 students, which is the effective capacity. So design capacity of your university is almost 10,000, but the effective capacity is only 8,000. So as you can see, effective capacity is always lower than, or most of the time, or often lower than design capacity. Let's understand things further now. If we will go to the measures of performance, how do we measure the performance of our company in terms of the capacity? I mean capacity utilization and capacity efficiency. That's why we will use two measures, utilization and efficiency. What is utilization? Utilization is the percent of design capacity actually achieved, which means that utilization, if you want to calculate and compute for your utilization of the capacity, yani how much I am utilizing of my capacity. Just to give you, for example, to give you an example, the design capacity, just roughly, okay, for example, the actual output of Petra University is, let's say, 6,000 students, okay? So you will divide this by your design capacity, as I told you a while ago, which is 10,000. So 6,000 divided by 10,000, so your utilization will be 60%. So you are utilizing 60% of the design capacity, okay? This is only an example. Of course, we will take now other examples, actual examples. By the way, I am only giving, my purpose now is to clear things for you, to clear the idea. Now, efficiency is the percent of effective capacity. Look here, utilization is the percent of design capacity, but efficiency is the percent of effective capacity, because in the previous slide we differentiated between design capacity and effective capacity. Now, so what is efficiency? Efficiency is also equal to actual output, but it's divided by the effective capacity. So your efficiency is also the actual output, but it is divided by the effective capacity. So if we'll go back to our example, we said our design capacity for the university 10,000, our effective capacity 8,000, our actual output, let's say it's 6,000 students. So a while ago in utilization we divided 6 divided by 10,000, but here we will divide 8,000 divided by 10,000, which will be 80%. So as you can see, efficiency is higher than utilization, and you will see this through the next real example, actual example. We will see it by numbers, of course. Let's go to our bakery example, example 1, which of course will focus on determining the capacity utilization and capacity efficiency. So we will calculate now in actual example the utilization and efficiency as performance measures of the company, because of course the higher the percentage of your either utilization or efficiency, the better the performance of the company is, or the more superior the performance of the company is. So let's start with our example. Sarah James Bakery, a bakery, مخبز, has a plant for processing deluxe breakfast rolls and wants to better understand its capability. What they do, they are telling to you that last week the facility, the bakery, the facility, whatever, produced 148,000 rolls. Okay, اعتبرها سندويشة whatever. Now the effective capacity is 175,000 rolls. So they produce, their actual output is 148,000 rolls for a week, per a week, but their effective capacity is supposed to be per week 175,000 rolls. Now the production line operates 7 days per week, where 3 8-hour shifts per day. So if you want to, of course, if we multiply now 8 multiplied by 3 shifts by 8 hours a day, often each shift multiplied by 7 days, then we can have the number of hours in a week, isn't it? Okay, anyway, let's continue. The line was designed to process the nut-filled, cinnamon flavored deluxe roll at a rate of 1,200 per hour. So this is their design capacity, but this design capacity in hour, okay, it's per hour. So we can calculate the design capacity per week. Why? You will see later on in the solution, because we have our actual output per week, 148,000. We have our weekly effective capacity as 175,000. We can now calculate also our design capacity. Instead per hour, we can calculate it per week by multiplying the 1,200 by 8, multiply by 3 shifts, multiply by 7, we will have our design capacity. Of course, requirements determine the design capacity. This is number 1. You have also to compute for utilization, number 2, and efficiency, number 3, for this plant when producing this deluxe roll. Let's see the solution, of course. First of all, these are the given, a summary of the given, all what I told you. I want you just to see, as I told you in the previous slide, how we are calculating for our design capacity. Now, our design capacity per hour is 1,200, but we are talking about weeks, about a week. So since we are talking about a week, we are working 7 days in a week. We have 3 shifts daily. Each shift is working 8 hours. So 7 days multiplied by 3 hours, multiplied by 3 shifts by 8 hours, then we will have the number of the total hours here per week. Multiply by what can we produce, or what is the bakery is designed to produce in an hour, which is 1,200. So our design capacity is 600,000 rolls. 201,600 rolls in a week. So to summarize things, our design capacity, which is always higher than the effective capacity, as you can see, 201,600. Our effective capacity is 175,000. Okay, now, and our actual output is 148,000. So if I will ask you now, can you calculate? Are you listening to me? Can you calculate for the other 2 requirements, which is utilization and efficiency? If you know the formula, the one I started with, almost with the second slide, the answer is yes, of course. Why? Let's start with utilization. Utilization is equal to what? Actual output divided by effective capacity. What is the actual output? It's 148,000, as you can see, divided by effective capacity, which is 175,000. Then you will have the answer, if you want to see. Here, 148 divided by, I'm talking about efficiency, sorry. We talk about efficiency. 148,000 divided by 175,000, which is 84.6%. But utilization is equal to the actual output divided by design capacity, according to our formula, which is 201,600. So we have a 73.4%. Okay, guys? So it's easy. If you know the formula of utilization again, actual output divided by design capacity, wherein efficiency is equal to also actual output, but it is now divided by the effective capacity, which is always lower than the design capacity. That's why the percentage of efficiency is higher than the percentage of utilization. Okay, anyway, let's continue. Bakery example 2, the same bakery, but we will take example 2. We'll see why. Because the manager of Sarah James Bakery, look at the previous example. I'm telling to you to look, they say almost most of the information are, or the data are the same, not all. Now needs to increase production of the increasingly popular deluxe roll. والله دول جماعة زبطت معهم, demand عندهم عالي. They want to add a new product, a new production line, okay, in order to increase their, or to expand their capacity. Why? So that they will be able to increase their production. Okay. Now to meet this demand, she will be adding, the manager a second production line. So they will add another production line عشان يلحقوا على الزباين. Okay. Now the second line has the same design capacity, which is the same design capacity. بدهم يعملوا له production line رقم 2 اللي بدهم يضيفوه to expand their capacity with the same design capacity اللي it was 201,600, and effective capacity the same 175,000 for also the new line as the first line. However, new workers will be operating the second line. Try to concentrate here. New workers will be operating the second line, and don't forget that the new workers here, they don't have enough experience like the workers who is operating the first line. That's why, what do we expect, me and you? We expect inefficiencies. We expect that the actual output for the second line will not really be the same as the actual output, which is 148,000 for the first line. So that's why the question here, he is giving you the efficiency of the new line, okay, which is 75,000, and asking to calculate the actual output for the second product line, which is, of course, before we solve, we expect, me and you now, that the production, the actual output of the second line will be less than the actual output of the first line, which is 148,000 it was. If you are giving efficiency, guys, now efficiency is equal to what? Efficiency is equal to actual output, which is unknown for the product line 2, okay, our production line 2, divided by the effective capacity, which is the same 175,000. So what will be the actual output? It will be the efficiency 75,000 multiplied by 175,000, which is the effective capacity. Let's see the solution now, if it's right or not. Here, okay, here expected output is equal to effective capacity, which is 175,000 multiplied by efficiency, because the efficiency is given. نفس المعادلة فيها مجهول واحد، يعني هي efficiency equal to expected output divided by effective capacity. هذه our original formula. طب we know the efficiency already. Okay, so we need to calculate for the expected output, which is unknown as a variable. So our expected output will be effective capacity multiplied by 0.75 or 75%, which is of course the efficiency of the second production line, and our expected output will be for the new line 131,250 rolls, and this is normal because the second line will be operated by inexperienced workers. Okay, that's why it's less than 148,000 as it was as it is in the first production line. Now, this example is supposed to be homework. Okay, but since it has an idea that I want to share with you, I will discuss it with you now, then we will end our lecture for today. A training center has 4 trainers available in its computer labs to provide training sessions to trainees or participants المتدربين. Now assume that the capacity of the system is 1,600 students. The capacity we can accommodate, our system is designed, okay, is designed. Try to take note when I am saying it's designed for 1,600 students per semester, and the utilization is given 85% if the number of students who actually get their orientation session is 1,100. Yani the actual output is given 1,100. Now what is the efficiency of the system? Here some students, they will start thinking, okay, efficiency, let's think me and you. Based on knowing me and you, we know the formula of efficiency. Efficiency is equal to what? Equal to actual output, which is given 1,100, divided by effective capacity. But the effective capacity here is not given. It's not given. What is given? Design capacity, which is 1,600, and the utilization. Guys, how much we are utilizing of the 1,600 as a design capacity? 85% only. So 85% multiplied by 1,600, because we are, I will repeat, we are using 85% only of our 1,600 design capacity, which is 1,600 students as a design capacity. So if we multiply 85% by 1,600, we can calculate for the effective capacity. Let's see. Effective capacity now, okay, is equal to utilization, which is the 85% multiplying by design capacity 1,600. I will repeat again for the third time. Here I want you to understand, when we say utilization, it means that you are able to use 85% of your total design capacity. That's why أنا عندي القدرة إني أستغل 85% من 1600. Okay, which is, it will give me the effective capacity, which is 1,360. Now I don't have any problem. I want to calculate for my efficiency. Let's go back to our original formula. Efficiency is equal to actual output divided by what? Effective capacity. And effective capacity now is known, which is 1,360. So our efficiency in this training center is 80.88%. Okay, and of course this ends our lecture for today. Of course next Wednesday, let's say next Monday, supposed to be, we will continue with this chapter 7S, and remember that we stopped here. We will discuss capacity and strategy next lecture إن شاء الله. حتى ذلك الحين, I hope you will be all fine always. Thank you very much. See you إن شاء الله.